Alright guys, we're out on the water, and today's objective got a couple things. One, remember back we did a video talking about the comparison between the Googan ClickBait versus Jackhammer and a few other popular chatterbaits, and I said there would be an on-the-water portion. Today is the on-the-water portion. So that we'll cover that real soon, we'll cover that. And I got something new toy, GoPro 9. Still got the sticky tabs on it, it's brand new, so today will be the first time trying that out, see how it works. Work out the bugs, see how it works. So those are the two things we're checking out today, and hopefully we catch a few fish. Water temps in the upper 50s, so I think it's a good time to try out those bladed jigs. So maybe we'll catch a few fish, maybe some bass, maybe some northern, maybe some dogfish. Stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss the on-the-water verdict of the Googan ClickBait versus the Chatterbait. So satisfying. All right, so like I said, we've now got the GoPro 9 fired up. Hopefully this audio, video looks great. Googan ClickBait versus the Jackhammer. That was the main part of this video. We also compared it to the Zman Custom. So we're gonna make sure we cast that today as well. And a new, late to the game, we're gonna test out today, just for fun, is the Super K Klakken. Those will be the 4-bladed jigs we're gonna try out. We're gonna put the same type of trailer and Arsenal Tactical Minnow on each one. We're gonna make some casts. We're gonna see how they start up. We're gonna see how they come through some grass. We've got some pads, some vegetation coming up, emergent vegetation, lots of things to test. See how fast they start, see how they ride the water, do they stay down, give you all that kind of feedback. Just initial few casts with each one. And then I'm just kind of like fish around this bay, which hopefully there's some fish in, and maybe retie every 10, 15, 20 casts and just see which one catches more fish. So stay tuned for the results. All right, break it up. ClickBait, the tactical minnow. We'll put one of these on each one of these baits. All right, start things out. Tie every bait on the same rod, 7-foot 5-inch Dobbins rod, 17-pound fluoro, 7-to-1 gear ratio reel. If you missed that first video, right here, make sure there's links in the description, pinned comment, and in the cards if you want to check out that head-to-head where we break down every single component from the line tie to the hook and the skirt and everything about each bait. You definitely want to go back and check that out after this video. I think I misspoke before. 1/2 ounce baits, not 3/8 ounce baits. So we're going to get into the testing right now. All 1/2 ounce bladed jigs with a 4.5 inch tactical minnow. Give the ClickBait the starting nod. All right, first cast with the Googan ClickBait. Initial thoughts, it starts up pretty good. It does want to rise up in the water when you burn it. I don't know if you can see that. But if you reel at a steady pace, it stays down okay. It's got a decent thump. But if you try to burn it, it definitely wants to come out of the water. So if you try to burn it, it definitely surfaces. So depending, if you like to fish it fast, you have to slow it down a little bit because when you burn it, it pops right up. Got a pretty decent thump. I would say it's a little bit more of a wide wobble side to side than that tight action of a Z-Man type style bait. But the startup seems pretty good in it. Let's try throwing it in these pads here. Intentionally run it through these pads and see what. And it kind of came through those. Kind of killed the action a little bit when we came through it, but overall not too bad. Kind of slow rolling through these pads here. No real issues. See if we can come through some grass. Yeah, I mean, it came through that. I mean, that's not the liveliest grass, but it came through okay. Couple more casts through these pads, see what we think. And it's not catching on the grass. Kind of deflecting off the stems. All right, not so bad, decent. Casts really well. It's got a decent wide wobble. You can see that in the water there. Didn't really get hung up on the pad stems or the grass that's around here, though this isn't real thick grass. When you do want to speed it up, it does want to rise up. So that's one thing I will say about it so far. So initial cast, decent bait. Let's see how it compares to some of these other bladed jigs. Moving on to the gold standard the Jackhammer. Casting the Jackhammer. Oh. Similar castability with the Jackhammer. Both have good startup. I will say that when I burn the Jackhammer, it doesn't come out of the water. Like that thing really, and that thing a little wilder. When I burn that thing, I can feel that thing hunting, which is a good thing. So that's an interesting thing. I really felt like that ClickBait really swam true no matter what speed I ran it. When I speed this Jackhammer up, it definitely like spins out and blows out, which is something that's usually pretty desirable as a secondary action for catching fish. So that's a plus for the Jackhammer so far. They both come through grass decent so far. Let's see if we can force this into some pads. I did pick up a little grass earlier on the Jackhammer. Typically most bladed jigs, you kind of want them to hang in the grass a little bit and then pop free and create that reaction bite. So all right, initial thoughts on the Jackhammer. Similar castability, stays down in the water a lot better. When you burn it, it will come up, but it stays in the water. And then I could just feel it. Like when I was watching it through the water, tighter action and a little more erratic. So that hunting action is there with the Jackhammer. But Jackhammer cost, you know, 16, 17 bucks. The ClickBait's only, I don't remember, $7.99, $8.99, whatever. It's like half the price. Now, let's try the Zman Custom. A bargain Zman Chatterbait and see how that one stacks up against each of them. All right, first cast with the Zman Custom. As you can imagine, all these baits cast pretty good. Like there's, oh, I think the first cast with the Custom, we hooked up with a fish. I don't know, that's a ringing endorsement from the bass. Look at that, and he ate it pretty good. So this is exciting. First cast with the Zman Custom, we just tied it on. This isn't a giant bass, a little keeper, but he ate it pretty darn good. That's pretty exciting. So also first catch on the new GoPro 9. Let me know what you guys think in the comment. How is the video? How does this look? So far so good for the Custom. The fish say yes, you can catch bass on a $7 or $8 chatterbait. I will have links in the description for all of these baits below, plus the Arctical Tactical Minnows if you're interested in any of these baits. But let's keep testing the Zman Custom and see what the fish and I think going forward. All right, before we were so rudely interrupted by that bass, we were trying to test how the Zman Custom works. We can try burning it. I would say it stays down pretty good, maybe even a touch better than the Jackhammer. Like this bait actually stays down even better, I think, than the Jackhammer. Startup's pretty good on the Zman Custom so far on this particular bait, on the 1/2 ounce with the Tactical Minnow. Now, obviously 3/8, 1/2 ounce, heavier, lighter baits with any of these. Plus, if you use different trailers, results may vary, but that's why we just want to keep this simple and use the same bladed jig. Just got a little grass on there with each, or same trailer with each bladed jig, so we were comparing apples to apples. Obviously, every one of these bladed jigs could behave a little different, ride a little different in the water, could start up different, get, you know, how they come through the vegetation, things like that. But so far, I've used the Zman Custom a lot and the Jackhammer a lot. I catch a lot of fish on both of them. I like this one a lot too. This bait stays down really good. I've never really cast them much back to back in the same areas like I have today. And so far, I mean, I'd have to give this one right up there with one of the top value. I mean, the Jackhammer obviously catches a ton of fish, but is it worth $8, $10 more than some of these others? I guess we'll just do a little more testing today, and obviously you guys can do your own testing as well. And there's another fish. That's 2 fish on the Custom. This one, what is it? What kind of fish we got? This might be a pike. So the pike are also weighing in on our test today, and the pike, as you can imagine, are not picky, but they also like the Zman Custom. So there's 2 fish in just a handful of casts. We'll tie up these bladed jigs on a few different rods and start rotating them a little more. But as you can see, Zman Custom is a fish catcher. All right, we're moving on to the Super K Klakken. Now this one's a 3/8 ounce jig. Only have it in 3/8 ounce. It does have a tiny weed guard on it that's very light, a really nice hook, a black nickel finish on that blade with a slightly different shaped blade, and a connection that's very similar to what you saw in the Zman Custom. So if you go back to that other video, you'll be able to see all the details on that. But I want to get, this one wasn't in there. Links in the description. This is a small company out of Wisconsin that does some super nice hand-tied custom jigs and things like that. Hopefully the wind noise isn't messing with us today, and hopefully the GoPro 9 is killing it on the wind. Let's give the Super K Klakken a crack. All right, let's go Klakken. All right, castability, even for a 3/8, really good here. Honestly, the tactical minnow, the Arsenal minnow, is a pretty good, doesn't catch a lot of resistance. Let's try burning this Klakken, see what it does. Even for a 3/8 ounce, stays in the water much better than the 1/2 ounce ClickBait. Startup on this bait, I would say mostly pretty good. Every once in a while, I need to give it a little, oh, I think I just got hammered and I missed one. Sometimes it starts right away. Sometimes you got to give that rod tip just a little pop to get it to go. But most of the time, starting up right away. It's coming through the grass pretty well. With that little bit of weed guard, definitely helps coming around these lily pad roots and these stems and things like that. We didn't catch a fish on the first cast, but that might have been a little bit of luck on the custom. A little pop, bring it right through the grass. Overall, the shake of this, I would say, is similar to that of the Z-Mans. The Super K Klakken, I would say vibration is tight, similar to that of both the Z-Mans, but different than that of the ClickBait, which obviously on different bodies of water in different situations, one of those could be better than the other. Oh, there's a fish on the Klakken. The fish have spoken again. A little bit better pike. But the pike also gives a vote for the Klakken in our taste test today. This one was probably one of the ones that ate it better than the other pike. I don't know if that's a good thing. Let's get this bad boy unhooked. Couple more casts with the Klakken. There's one of those times I had to kind of give a little pop to get it started, which isn't all bad. Sometimes having that bait kind of need to be popped every now and then helps you keep that erratic motion going, which is good. This bait definitely has a little bit of that hunting action, a little bit of erraticness when you kind of have it going at high speed. So it's definitely a little different than the Z-Man, which I think is all part of the game. Like when you're fishing in pressured areas, having multiple options and showing them fish, you know, different vibrations, different swimming actions can be a big plus. Or if you're in an area where you're gonna make multiple passes back and forth in the same area, changing up colors, changing up bladed jig styles, vibration, all can be ways to get more bites. You know, I don't know that there is one bladed jig to rule them all. Having a few in your arsenal can't be a good thing. Variety is the spice of life sometimes. All right, initial thoughts on the Super K. I haven't fished this one a ton. I've caught a few fish this spring on it, both bass and pike. We caught one today. I would say sometimes the startup isn't as great on this one, but overall, it's got a nice vibration. It's got a little bit of hunting action. I like the weed guard. I like the hook on it. And obviously the fish have shown to appreciate it so far. So I think at that same price point as the Zman Custom, but with a hand-tied skirt and a little bit of a weed guard and some really nice components, I think it's something you should definitely check out. Now we're gonna get all these baits tied up on some different rods, and I'm just gonna make like 5, 10, 15 casts with each one and rotate through them. We're just gonna see what the fish say. They won't all be identical setups like this one when we're doing our tests, but we'll get the baits all wet and we'll get a bunch of casts on each of them and see what happens. There's a fish on the Googan. I don't know what it is. Hooked up on the Googan. ClickBait. Well, it's our good old friend, the northern pike. Probably our best pike. Oh, we fell off. Pike down, pike down. All right, so far, the ClickBait gets the award for the biggest pike. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? I don't know. Another fish on the clicky click bait. What did we catch? A little pike. Another pike. Jackhammer gets a pike. Ate it pretty good. Every bladed jig has now scored itself a pike, and the Zman Custom is the only one with a bass right now. Alright. See a bed on a bass? A bass on the bed. So we're gonna take a little time out. See if I can catch him. A little time out in the bladed jig battle. The bass on the Tokyo rig. On the BFE. Lost my weight somehow. Nice little chunk. See, you didn't have it in your mouth, you bozo. You could see it with the white hanging out. You know where you don't like it now. Man, he just like smoked it. Like just it's personal between us now, buddy. He just races over and smokes it. He is mad. There we go. Finally got it in the mouth that time. Nice little chunker on the bed. Guarding a little nest up there. I noticed as we were out jigging, blading, chatterbaiting, the water temps back in this bay were creeping up to 60, and I started seeing a few fish when I got up shallow. This fish kept on biting it, but he wouldn't take the whole thing, so I bit it down, and he still would just like come up and just crush it. But a lot of times I'd see the bait hanging out of its mouth. Finally waited till it disappeared and caught this nice fish, probably close to 3 pounds. It's probably why we're not getting a ton of bites on bladed jigs today. So I think a few more of these fish are spawning in this cove than one would think. So bladed jigs probably aren't the best. Probably better off just like flinging a wacky rig around right now. But we'll keep throwing a bladed jig a little bit, and if we see some fish, we might fish for them. That's how we'll round out the day today. All right, let's get back to blading, jig blading, chatterbait testing, whatever we're doing. Oof. There's a fish. Oh, can't get the bass to eat the bladed jigs today, but the pike have no problem. Fish, I don't know what it is, but knocked a bunch of slack in my line. Ooh, nice bass. We got our first good bass on a chatterbug, and it's the Zman Custom that puts a good one on the board, right in the roof of the mouth. Ate it. All right, that's 2 bass for the custom, a bunch of pike for everything else. Nice fish. Let's get him back in the water. Her, him. Nice. That was a fun bite. Knocked a ton of slack in my line. It was awesome. There it is. All the ones we've been throwing today have been kind of a bluegill color with that green pumpkin Arsenal tactical minnow. Catching quite a few fish. Let's see if we can get a few more bass. Klakken busts another quality pike. That might be bigger than the Googan pike. That was a fail of a boat flip. Yeah, I think that takes the cake for the pike. Pike. Jackhammer pike. Jackhammer gets another pike. Finally, a bass on the jackhammer. There you go. Jackhammer chunka. Alright. Now the jackhammer and the customer on the board of the bass. With that little fish. Klakken bass. You got a bass on the Klakken. Super K Klakken bluegill. It's a bass for everyone except for the Googan ClickBait. Alright guys, that's a wrap. We started out, did a quick comparison, and then we tied each one of these baits on 4 different rods, and I cast each one 10-12 times, rotated them across the deck, back and forth, probably 8-10 times. Stopped, caught a few nice bedfish, but each one of these baits I had well over 100 casts with this afternoon. Fished, I don't know, 3 hours. Caught pike on all of them. The Zman Custom caught the most and biggest. The Super K Klakken and the Jackhammer each got 1 nice bass each. No bass for the Googan ClickBait. Overall summary, this is a decent bait, but I don't know if it's really my jam. I would say this is less of a vibrating jig and more of a shaking jig. It's definitely got a different wobble. It's a little bit more like a scrounger than it is a vibrating chatterbait bladed jig style bait. And it definitely rides way higher and likes to come out of the water if you try to reel it fast. So if you're the kind of angler that really likes to cover water, this is not going to be a great option. Fishing them side by side that many times, I really had to slow down to not get this one to blow out if I tried to fish it anywhere near the same speed as the 3/8 or ½ ounce in the other style bladed jigs. So if you're in a situation where you really need to slow down, crawl a jig like this, maybe this is a good option, maybe in dirty water. If you really like to slow roll baits, maybe this is for you. But for me, this is clearly number 4 out of the ones we tested. The other 3 all performed pretty good, came through grass, started up nicely. Obviously the Zman Custom kind of shined today, but small sample size, I don't know if we have statistic enough data. That's my summary of the Googan ClickBait versus these other bladed jigs. Hope you guys learned something. Remember, links in the description below if you want any of these baits. And if you guys want to continue to catch more big bass and suck less, make sure you watch one of these 2 videos coming up right here.